Hey Meno Warriors, my name is Kate Hartley. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be sharing 8 tips with you to help you build lean muscle, which is going to help you burn fat more effectively, balance your hormones, and dispel a myth, because I think a lot of us think that as we get older, it's impossible to build lean muscle and to reach and maintain a healthy weight. That is a complete myth. I work with ladies every single day who are defying the odds of the norm. I did indeed do it myself, and I'm going to share my 8 top tips with you today to help you understand what we need to do and also why you need to do it. One of the problems that a lot of us come up against is we find that what we used to do no longer works, and so we just do more of it. So if you've started to restrict your calories, you might find that you're just restricting even more, and it might be that you've upped the workouts that you're doing, the training that you're doing, and in actual fact that is having a negative impact on your weight gain. Your body's going into survival mode. As estrogen levels fall, cortisol levels, one of our stress hormones, rises, and as cortisol rises, so does insulin, which is our fat storing hormone. When we have got too much insulin in our bloodstream, it actually makes it impossible for us to shed fat. So it actually locks the cells, so we can't actually burn fat. So what we need to be doing is working on having a regular strength training program, but also making sure that we're eating a wide range of healthy, wholesome foods, and also focusing very much upon our protein. So I'm going to break each of these tips down into their individual components and explain more to you. Tip number 1 is to do the moves even if you don't want to. As cortisol rises, that has a catabolic effect on the body. So you've probably heard of anabolic steroids. Those are the steroids that are used or were used, I'm sure some people still use them, to pump up muscles, to make them look bigger. Well, catabolic is the opposite effect. So it's breaking down, and cortisol has a catabolic effect in the body. So as estrogen falls, that's why we get wrinklier, saggier, muscles atrophy. We're at greater risk of brittle bone disease because of the catabolic effect of cortisol. It just creates this situation of breaking down of our cellular structure. So we really need to be actively working against that, but not spiking our cortisol even more. That's why endurance training, such as running, longer distances, swimming, cycling, they may not actually be having the effect that you want them to have, even though you totally love them, because it's creating, you're actually breaking down more muscle than you're able to build while you're expending that energy. And over a certain limit, you'll start to raise your cortisol levels for too long, which can then further worsen that breaking down effect in the body. So it really is about use it or lose it. If you've never had it, you can start to build it back up. That also means doing moves that you might find uncomfortable or that make you wobble. We need things that are going to challenge us, and not just the sort of the big muscles. We want the sort of little small fast twitch muscles, the slower twitch muscles. We want to be working on strength training, mobility, stretching, balance, coordination, for a range of factors, and you can incorporate all of that with strength training. When I tore the ligaments in my ankle a few years back, part of my rehabilitation was to stand on one leg and just, balance. And yes, I wobbled a little bit, and then I got better at it. And then the progression after that was to stand on one leg and then close my eyes. And all of a sudden I could not balance. It was so hard. And eventually with practice, I got better at it. But when you're doing something like that, I mean, you can try it right now. Stand on one leg and just, you will feel the tiny little muscles twitching fast in your ankles and your feet and your legs, to make sure that you're staying stable. You'll feel your core engage. And then if you close your eyes, it becomes so much more difficult. And then to further advance that still, I then got a wobble cushion, which I then stood on and tried it without closing my eyes first, and then obviously closed my eyes afterwards. And so that I could really help to rehabilitate my ankle fully. It was stronger. All the swelling had gone down, the bruising had gone down, but I was still getting like a burning sensation deep in my ankle. Because of the fact I still needed to further rehabilitate it. That wobble exercise made the biggest difference. And whether you're doing split lunges, you're standing on one leg, you might be doing a one-legged lunge, those sorts of things do exist. And yes, I fall over doing them all the time, but you must not let that put you off. You must just keep persevering and just start small. You don't need to be doing heavy weights and the crazier moves. That's why following a program is really going to serve you, because it will be geared to your specific level of fitness. And it could be helping you work within your own ability envelope, which is so important, because I think fitness is very intimidating if you've not done it for either a long time or you're completely brand new to it, but you need to make a change. Start small, work within your ability envelope. We are always being challenged. No matter how fit and strong you are always being challenged in a workout, because you will lift heavier weights. To begin with, you might just start with body weight. You might start with resistance bands or resistance loops. You might do push-ups against the wall. And then eventually maybe you can do them further away from the wall. And then maybe you can do them on the floor using your knees to help to support you. When I do push-ups these days, I always use a big band around the tops of my arms, and it creates like a hammock. So it means I can get much, much lower in my push-ups, and I have much better form. I feel a real sense of achievement when I do them that way. If I do them without the hammock band, I can't go so low, and I just don't feel like I'm getting the full rotation out of the push-up. So there are all sorts of ways of modifying. If you are chair bound, you can do exercises that you can do in the chair pretty much for all your body, in actual fact. So make sure that you're just following a good program to help you where you are at for your specific level of fitness. If you want any help getting started with that, just fill out the Sparkle Back form in my description box, and I will get in touch with you. Step 2 is to stop dieting. To stop restricting what you're eating. It is so tempting. I went down that route too, because I didn't know any better at the time. And I now follow a nutritional system where I balance my macros. I understand how much of the proteins, the carbohydrates, and the fats that I need. And that works incredibly well. So you need to be eating food in order to fuel the muscle build. Using the law of thermodynamics, it is not as simple as saying calories in versus calories out. That equation is just so simplistic, and it's not an accurate depiction of what goes on. And that equation says that you will lose weight, but eventually you would vanish. So for instance, if your calories in are 2,000 and you want to maintain a healthy weight of, say, 200 pounds, but you want to up your exercise to make sure that you're burning an extra 500 calories a day. So 500 calories a day over the course of 7 days is 3,500 calories extra that you'll burn a week, which leads to around about 1 pound of weight loss, of fat loss. So if you kept that up for around about 4 years, that equates to around about 200 weeks. That would mean that you have lost 200 pounds and you would be weighing completely zero. You would have vanished. It doesn't make sense, does it? That is because the body adapts. The body's really clever. It will always go into survival mode. So when you start to starve it, yeah, you might see some weight loss, but the weight loss is largely coming from your muscles, which means that your metabolism is slowing down, which means you're becoming more frail, which means you are lacking in energy, which means you are negatively impacting your other hormones in your body, which means that ultimately when you do start to eat again, because we all tend to default back to normal, you will put on even more weight because your body thinks, oh, she's feeding me, I better hang on to it. That is why that yo-yo dieting thing is so unsuccessful. You diet for a while, you lose some weight, and then you start to eat normally, and then you put even more weight on than you did before you started to lose weight in the first place. Does that sound familiar? And it's soul destroying. So you do need to eat food to lose weight effectively, so that you're building lean muscle, so that you're boosting your metabolism. More muscle burns more calories throughout the course of the day. It helps you feel energized. It helps you balance your hormones more effectively. It's better for your gut health. There is no bad thing about it. So you do need to take that leap of faith and start to eat more. Obviously, of the right stuff. You want to make sure that your macros are well balanced, and that will result in you building lean muscle, burning more fat over a longer period of time that is sustainable And that means that you are eating plenty. You will never, ever feel hungry because you're filling your body with the nutritional foods that it needs in order to build lean muscle and to keep burning those calories. Tip 3 is to not be afraid of lifting heavy. So I think as women, I speak to a lot of women who say, oh, but I don't want to bulk up. I don't want to look like some Hulk. You're not going to, because we don't have the levels of testosterone in our bodies. Yes, when men heavy lift and when they're eating the right kinds of food, they will bulk up. But we don't, because we just don't have the levels of testosterone. So you will build long, lean muscles. You'll help reduce the cellulite. You will improve just so much how you feel. Your balance will be improved. You'll be supporting your skeleton. You'll be helping your joint health. Developing your muscles is one of the best things that you can do for a healthy, older life. So you want to be challenging your muscles. By the end of, say, 10 reps, you want your 7th rep and beyond to be, oh, I'm getting pretty heavy now and I'm looking forward to this finishing. Then you know you've got the right weight. Avoid comparisonitis. It doesn't matter whatever anybody else is lifting. Lift within your own ability envelope. And that might change from day to day. If you've slept badly, if you're still having your periods and you're coming up to a period, you're not probably going to have the same amount of energy. You won't feel quite so resilient. So it might be that you can't lift such heavy weights. Just work within your own ability envelope as you show up each and every day. And if weights are intimidating for you, just use bands or loops or just your body weight. You can get incredible results from just using your body weight. Another thing I would say is really focus on that mind-muscle connection. I often use the bicep curl as an example, but I could just do this and I'm still technically doing a bicep curl, or I could really put resistance in, really pull it up, and I'm getting quite tired. And then to counteract it down, I'm really, that's hard work. I wouldn't want to do too many like that. I can feel it all around my core as well. I can feel it around my ribs and my shoulders, my chest. So the mind-muscle connection is so important. No matter what move you're doing, if you're doing a squat, really focus on, I call it the bum cheek flare, but it is almost as you squat down, you want to sort of focus on your your gluteus medius, sort of the gluteal muscle at the top and the sort of top side of your buttocks. You want to almost focus on that spreading out a little bit, like an orangutan's face, sort of, well, bum cheek flare. It'll give you a giggle when you do a squat next time, but focus on your bum cheek flare. Make sure your back, you've got a sort of, we call it like the ugly pelvis tilt. So sort of tips your bum, your tailbone under. You don't want a curved back. You don't want your bum sticking up and out into the air. You want it curved down. You really want to sort of engage your core and tilt your pelvis forward to protect your lower back. But when you're doing squats like that, using that mind-muscle connection, you can get so much more out of the move. In any move that you do, focus on your mind-muscle connection. Even when you're just walking, a lot of people walk without engaging their gluteal muscles, their bum muscles. You can do it both ways. Go for a walk, just walk around your room, try it, and don't engage your bum muscles. And then try and do engage your bum muscles. And the difference is absolutely phenomenal. You might even find that it makes your lower back or even sort of your sacroiliac area click and sort of crack a little bit. That's just your pelvis realigning as it should be. So don't fear the odd pop or crack. They're normally adjustments that need to happen. But just be mindful of, when you're sitting at your desk, which I know so many of us do, don't do this. Be really mindful of sitting up straight. You don't want your shoulders up, but you want them back, relax back, and hold your tummy in. And just, you don't have to like really suck it in hard, but just hold it in a little. And that all supports your core. Focus on sitting up rather than down heavy. Always be up. And when you're sort of doing a plank, say for instance you're doing the plank, a lot of us do the plank and we hunch into our shoulders. It's almost like we collapse into our neck. Make sure you've got space, almost as though you're floating off the ground. And I know you're going to be thinking, I never feel like I'm floating off the ground in a plank. No, nor do I. But you can really get so much more out of it when you're focusing on those muscles that are supporting you and just creating space around your sort of shoulders, your neck, around your arms, underneath your arms. It makes the world of difference. So that mind-muscle connection is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, there have been so many studies of people who had serious strokes and they've been in a hospital bed for a long period of time. And just by focusing on the movement of, say, maybe their little finger, have been completely paralyzed, and then they're constantly thinking of that little finger, twitching that little finger, and eventually one day, I wish I could remember the name of the person that this actually happened to, because I was literally, it was just phenomenal. I wanted to just research all these people that made these incredible recoveries and write a book about it, because I just think it must be so inspiring. And this individual was able to start to wiggle their little finger. And then they realized that if they could wiggle their little finger, they could start to wiggle other bits of their bodies too, and made a full recovery eventually. A long time, but they did it. It is what will make the difference between an average workout and a really, really effective workout. And if you're going to be working out for 20-30 minutes, make the most of it. Tip number 4 is to make sure that you're eating enough protein. We need protein for all sorts of very important functions in the body, but specifically also to build lean muscle. If you're not eating enough protein, even if you're strength training, doing all the right sort of stuff, you will not build lean muscle. And I've done a lot of research recently on people that were loading up their first meal or around their workouts. If they did a workout in the morning, they were eating more protein around their workout, and they were getting much better. So some of them were actually doubling up their normal protein allocation for that meal. And they were getting really, really good results with their strength training. So lean muscle sculpting and also fat burning ability, because if you remember, the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn. So I, a few months back, started having a pre-workout protein strong meal. I normally just have Greek yogurt, a few chia seeds, milled linseed. Those 3 are all very high in protein, with some berries, a small amount of chopped banana, and sometimes some dragon fruit, and maybe a few oats as well. Oats contain a little bit of protein, but they're more of a carb type meal. In fact, actually, carbs combined with protein do not have so much of an insulin spike as compared to carbs just eaten by themselves. And oats are a very healthy carb. I don't eat an awful lot of them, but I do have them as part of my pre-workout protein packed meal. And I've noticed that my lean muscle definition has certainly improved. I feel less fluffy around the middle, and I don't really weigh myself. And also using the scales is a poor indicator of progress, because muscle weighs something too. It just takes up a lot less space than fat does. So make sure that you're eating sufficient protein. In the description box, there is a link to the Powerful Proteins guide, which I created a little while back now. I actually did it for myself because it's just like I wanted to know which foods contain the best amounts of protein in order to achieve good muscle gain. And I sort of tidied it up and put it into a document because my version was very messy. So make sure you're eating enough protein. Notably, I also take a protein supplement. So I take it's got branched chain amino acids in it, and those I have that after I've done my workout, and that contains 24 grams of protein. Leucine is one of those amino acids. There's a lot of research being done on leucine, and that is probably the most important amino acid related to strength building or developing strong muscles, as well as valine and isoleucine. My muscle recovery drink contains all 3 of them in the right ratio, and I think that's a really good way of getting extra branched chain amino acids, an extra protein boost in after I've done my workout. And then around about sort of half an hour to an hour after I've done my workout, I have another protein strong meal, which might be cottage cheese on toast with an egg on top, or 2 eggs on top with some vegetables, maybe spinach or a baked mushroom or something like that, and often some nutritional yeast on top of that as well. Get that bit of vitamin B12 in. So you can get quite experimental, just adding extra protein sources into your diet, but it is important that you're eating enough. And if you really want to go for maximum muscle building and not bulking, then I would suggest you start your day off with a good meal of heavily laden protein. And then maybe during the day you have 1 or 2 smaller meals that are also protein centric. And then at the end of the day, go for a similar amount as you had in the earlier for your breakfast or your first meal of the day. I'm aiming for around about 50 grams of protein at my first meal and my last meal. And then I'm making sure that I'm probably eating around a further 40 grams throughout the course of the day. It's quite hard to eat enough protein. So do take a look at that guide. And I'm actually putting together, I haven't done it yet, but I am putting together a guide of sort of healthy first meal ideas, because there's sort of two that I rotate through, and actually they all get a bit boring after a while. Even though I love them, it's just nice to have something different. So I'm just going to make it look pretty, and I will put it together in a guide for you. And then as soon as I have that ready, I will be sharing that in my description boxes beneath these Menopause Monday videos as well. So keep your eyes peeled for those. I will work on it as fast as I can, because I also want it for myself. Tip number 5 is mobility work. That is so important. It's really important that you're taking enough time to stretch, to warm up before you do your workout, to stretch after you've done your workout, to use a foam roller. They are brilliant at helping break down adhesions in our connective tissue. So, you know, for instance, I talk to quite a lot of ladies who get a sore, you know, their anterior deltoids, their front muscles here in their shoulders, they're getting sore and achy, or there might be, you know, tight gluteal muscles, bum muscles. Using a foam roller or a ball. You can use a foam ball, or you can even get spiky balls, which are quite vicious, but you can roll up and down those on a wall, or I actually use a foam roller on the floor, and I roll out my my deltoids around my shoulders. I do it all over my body. Even inner thighs, it's amazing how, you know, you can get them into the nooks and crannies, and you can really feel where the sensitive areas are. And where you find a really sensitive area, hold on it and maybe do some deep breathing while you sweat away. But that helps to break down those adhesions, and it just makes your muscles healthier. Tight muscles are not healthy muscles. You want them nice and flexible, you want them plump, but you also want to make sure that you are taking active recovery days, so that you are working on, you know, your balance as well. You know, do some stretches that involve cross body movements. Again, that's why it's so good to follow a structured program, because you'll be shown exactly what to do. And you know, a lot of our injuries take place when we are moving around, crossing over quickly. You know, you've dropped your pencil, so you bend down fast and it's over there, and you twist and then something pops. It's crazy, isn't it? But that is how a lot of injuries occur these days. So the cross body stretches and mobility exercises are really, really important. A lot of people avoid them because they feel uncomfortable. And I think some of us are afraid that, oh, we stretch like that and then cross, is something going to pop? We need to keep our joints, our spine, we need to keep things mobile. And if you don't have much mobility yet, don't let that hold you back. Just keep working at it gradually, and your mobility will improve. Tip number 6 is just making sure that you are eating around your workout. It's called time nutrition in actual fact. You'll get great results if you manage to eat sufficient amounts of protein around your workout. I know I sort of covered that when I talked about protein, but I just wanted to reiterate how important it is if you want to get the best results and build that lean muscle. If you're going to be doing the workouts, just make sure that you're eating a little bit of a protein-packed meal beforehand, and ideally having either a recovery drink afterwards that contains the branched chain amino acids, or indeed a meal that's, you know, high in protein again after your workout. How long before, it doesn't really matter. I tend to have quite a light meal, so that Greek yogurt, chia seed, milled linseed mixture, I have that anywhere sort of about half an hour up to 2 hours before I do my workout. If you have a heavier meal, you know, if you are eating things like a chicken wrap with cottage cheese and other various bits and pieces, you might want to have that a little bit earlier, you know, sort of have a little bit of a bigger gap between eating the meal and doing your workout. It really is personal preference. I think I would feel too full to actually really enjoy my workout if I had something quite heavy like that. But I know other people who swear by that sort of meal. So it really is an individual choice. Just make sure that you are eating protein before your workout and soon after your workout, to make sure that you're giving yourself as many benefits as you can to help you build that lean muscle. Tip number 7 is to make sure you take active recovery days as well. An active recovery day can be something like a yoga session, a proper structured stretch workout. It might be going for a walk, but a walk that's not too strenuous. It helps to shift the lactic acid out of your body, out of your muscles. They might just be feeling a bit fatigued, particularly if you're new to a program or you're new to fitness. It just helps to sort of relax the body again, bring down sort of any inflammation that's going on, because it's likely that when you're newer to a fitness program, the way the muscles get stronger is by strength training. We create tiny little micro tears in our muscles. That is why recovery days are so important, and that's why you don't want to do like upper body one day and then upper body the following day too, because your body's not having chance to repair itself. When those micro tears heal over, that's when they get stronger and more defined. That's when the muscle actually becomes stronger in itself. The inflammation does reduce. You might find that you have delayed onset muscle soreness when you start a new workout routine. Even, I mean, I've been doing workouts for years now, and even when I change program, even if it's not necessarily a more difficult program, because I'm doing slightly different moves, it might be a different trainer, it's put together slightly differently, I also can get delayed onset muscle soreness. So it's something that we all have. I see it as, I kind of feel a bit disappointed actually if I didn't have it, but there are times when, if you're brand new to fitness, it might be agonizing to try and like sit down on the toilet and your thigh muscles are killing you. Just a good relaxing walk will help shift a lot of that out. Maybe have an Epsom salt bath. You can always take a magnesium supplement, and that will help get rid of any of those sore muscles too. And tip number 8 is to make sure that you are taking enough rest in between your reps, so your body has time to recover a little bit before you start again with your next set of reps, and also that you have at least 1 or 2 recovery days throughout the course of the week, so that your body just has a proper chance to recover. It's also thought that sleep has a profound impact on protein synthesis in the body, so you want to make sure that you are getting as good quality sleep as possible, as it is possible in the menopause. If you're having hot flushes, or you're waking up with anxiety, or your sleep is just erratic, make sure that you're getting to bed early enough to give yourself a chance of having a quality amount of hours of sleep. When we sleep poorly, it does negatively affect our satiety hormones. So you're probably going to be craving the carbs. You're probably going to be feeling hungrier more quickly. On days like that, when I know I've slept badly, I really load up on the protein, because protein keeps you fuller for longer. It also uses up more energy to digest, so it's actually burning up more energy, more calories too. But it also helps to regulate your blood sugars. So what you want to be doing is, if you've had a bad night's sleep, be aware of the fact that your brain's going to be saying, go for the carbs, go for the fast carbs, and to make sure that you're loading up on healthy protein sources, because then you're going to be helping allay any of those cravings that come knocking on the door later in the day. So I hope these tips have been helpful for you. Essentially, we can use these until the day we die. There is something that we can all do, and work within your limitations. If you've got dodgy knees, just adapt, modify when you need to. It might be that lunges aren't your favorite thing. I have got a dodgy right knee due to a dodgy right foot, which has given me a dodgy hip flexor, but I still do my workouts. I modify a few moves so I don't trigger my hip flexor at the moment. I had double bunionectomy surgery about 2 years ago, and I think on my right foot, one of the screws is working its way through the bottom of the foot, and my right toe joint it's not, it won't bend fully. It's still a lot better having had the bunionectomy surgery. If you're thinking of bunionectomy, I highly recommend it, but I think one of the screws might be coming down through the bottom of my right foot. Yet to be established. But there's still stuff I can do. There's loads of stuff I can do. And it's down to us to not let our various foibles become our excuses, and then our excuses just keep us stuck. Because if we do not use it, you will lose it. And it's never too late to start getting strong. And I promise you, once you start to work on your strengths, a strong body gives you a strong mind. It makes you much more invincible. It gives you a real sense of warriordom. And on those days when things go wrong, if you've got a strong body, I don't know, there's just something about it that helps lift you through the darker hours. So if you found this helpful, please give it a love heart. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a future episode. If you've got anything you'd like me to cover in another episode, please just send me a message. If you've got anything you want to chat about a bit more privately rather than on YouTube, because yeah, comments are very public, find me at Instagram. It's also linked in the description box at Kate Hartley UK. And I'd be glad to give you any advice that I'm able to. So thank you for your company, and I will look forward to chatting with you again next week.